Welcome to the third installment of our video series on using supported decision-making to advance employment outcomes for people with disabilities in Connecticut. I am Tom Kosker, an advocate at Disability Rights Connecticut and parent of a 17-year-old son with multiple disabilities. In this presentation, you will learn about supported decision-making and the journey from school to employment. As in previous videos, you will hear directly from people with disabilities and their family members about the transition from school to employment. If you are interested in learning more, you can find clips from our interviews on the supported decision-making page on the Disability Rights Connecticut website at disrightsct.org/SDM. That's DISRIGHTSCT.org/SDM. In previous videos, we provided an overview of supported decision-making, or SDM, including some guiding principles and examples of how it can be used alone or along with other tools, such as powers of attorney, guardianship, and conservatorship. We also shared information about informed choice and the components and principles that go into helping an individual make well thought out and meaningful decisions with the support of others in terms of a career path. In this video, we will focus on the role SDM and informed choice can play when students with disabilities are making decisions about employment and the paths toward employment. We will discuss what this looks like for high school students, students in transition programs, and finally, for students transitioning into competitive integrated employment. We introduced the term competitive integrated employment, or CIE, in our second video. Let's review its federal definition. Competitive means that an employee with a disability earns a similar wage and benefits as employees without disabilities who do the same work. In competitive workplaces, no one is stuck in an entry-level position just because they have a disability. Instead, every employee has the same chance to move forward in their career. Integrated means working at a location where the person is interacting with other people without disabilities to the same extent as employees without disabilities in comparable positions. It means working with coworkers, customers, and suppliers with and without disabilities. The employment can be full-time or part-time. It also may include owning one's own business, called self-employment. It often includes access to support services to navigate federal work incentives so the person can keep their benefits while they work. As we discussed in the second video, a person in CIE must make at least minimum wage. Finally, CIE promotes an integrated workplace that makes accommodations for the needs of employees with disabilities, including by providing interpreters, technological supports, or other tools. There are several options for students as they move through their high school years. Keep in mind that a person's path and the choices provided to them should not be dictated by their disability. Some students will pursue higher education in college or another training program or school. Others will move directly into the workforce to look for a job, or even better, to pursue a career. Still others may want additional time before they move on to higher education or employment, and will spend time in a transition program. Whatever path students choose, they will most likely get help from others in making decisions about their employment options. It is worth noting that, for most people, no matter what path they go down during and after high school, the end point will likely include employment. The goal should be that employment is both competitive and integrated. Some form of employment is desired for many reasons. Employment provides money, a sense of belonging, a community, and even a purpose. For these reasons, having some level of employment is important for everyone. While the process of finding and maintaining employment can be challenging for anyone, it is made easier by having people around us who help us through the process. There are many people students will talk to while in high school about deciding what comes next and what path to head down. It is likely that students' families will play a key role in helping them to make decisions. Talking with students about their interests, wishes, and desires will support them in decision making about their employment options. There are also teachers, guidance counselors, and others who can support students during this time. All these supporters are important because they have different sets of knowledge and information about the students, as well as about employment opportunities. Each supporter can share their own unique insights about pros and cons of various career options, allowing the student to consider multiple perspectives before making a decision. One thing that students and supporters should keep in mind is that employment can and will change over time. One example of this comes from Nick, who you heard from in our previous video. Nick took a job at Chick-fil-A after working there during his transition program. Nick liked working at Chick-fil-A during his transition program because he was given opportunities to learn new skills like cooking. But after Nick got hired as an employee, these skill building opportunities became more limited, and he was mostly tasked with cleaning and customer service. This led Nick to pursue a career opportunity at the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs that better aligned with his goal to learn new skills and advance in his career. As Nick's experience illustrates, students will learn about their preferences and interests with each new career experience. People with disabilities shouldn't be expected to remain in one job for their whole career. In the words of Nick's mom, Anita, most people don't work their whole lives at Chick-fil-A. Supporters can help students navigate career transitions by providing them with the support they need to make decisions on their own. You can hear more from Nick and Anita by visiting the supported decision-making page on the Disability Rights Connecticut website at disrightsct.org/SDM. That's DISRIGHTSCT.org/SDM. I am a parent of a high school student with significant support needs. To be honest, what I have just shared is often not easy. As I help my son navigate his options as he moves through high school, it takes work to keep him at the center of decision making. Working together with the other adults in his life, we support him to make the best choices to pursue a path in line with his interests and wishes. He needs significant help in understanding his options and figuring out what is best for him. Making an informed choice is as important for my son as anyone I know. Supporters can also help students explore post-secondary options by sharing how they navigated their own transition from high school to employment. Hearing about a supporter's path can give students the opportunity to ask questions and consider options they might not have thought of before. In this next clip, Emily talks about how one of the reasons she chose to pursue a college degree was because many of her family members had done the same. Let's listen in.
Basically, I just decided that I would go to college because I grew up with older brothers and I saw them going to college, so I just figured I would too. And I, didn't really realize how much difficult it would be for me to go to college, but it, once I got in the swing of, once I actually got into being in college and doing what I could in college, it wasn't that hard. I thought if I went to college, I would be able to get a job that was like in a field that I enjoyed, which I do, and it, actually, one that pays. So
Keep in mind that even though Emily knew she wanted to go to college, the choices students make and the path they move down can and will change as life and circumstances change. Very few people start down a path and stay on it throughout their lives. And the employment path is no different. Rarely is someone's first job their only job. All people making decisions, including high school students, gather information from many places. Students will receive information from their families as well as from their teachers, guidance counselors, support staff, paraprofessionals, therapists, and administrators. Each of these people can be a part of the student's support team. As students and their families navigate this process, the student should be at the center of the information gathering and decisions. Students' families and other supporters can help them by connecting them to these professionals and helping them get and process the information these professionals provide. The members of a student support team can help students understand the choices that need to be made, discuss the pros and cons of employment options, and work with students to develop their decision-making skills. But it is the student who should always be at the center of all decisions. The path toward employment is the student's path, and every student is different. That means that the services and supports, the goals and objectives, and the options made available to the student should all be individualized. Educators should go beyond the checklists and generic class instruction to focus on what the individual student wants or needs. There are other professionals at other agencies that may be involved in a student's employment decision, such as the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, the Department of Developmental Services, and the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Family and school staff can help students connect with these resources if the student needs and wants to access them. The Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, or BRS, serves people who have any kind of disability that makes it difficult to find or keep a job. The Bureau of Education and Services for the Blind, or BESB, provides vocational rehabilitation services for people who are legally blind. Vocational rehabilitation can be a useful tool to access employment support options that may not otherwise be available. BRS and BESB can fund post-secondary education and training. Students can apply for BRS services when they are as young as 14 years old. BRS staff can attend planning and placement team meetings and work alongside transition coordinators to assist students in planning for life after high school. BRS also offers pre-employment services through their Level Up program. Students with disabilities ages 16 to 22 who receive special education or related services may be eligible for Level Up. Level Up is a component of a student's transition program and provides job exploration, interview preparedness, work-based learning experiences, job shadowing, post-secondary education exploration, workplace readiness training, self-advocacy instruction, peer mentoring, and assistive technology. Level Up can also help with the transition from its programming to adult vocational rehabilitation services. Under a grant running through September of 2027, BRS also leads an initiative called Connecticut Pathways to Integrated Employment, or CT-PI. It helps youth and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities access competitive integrated employment. The first step for students who are interested in Level Up, or CT-PI, is to contact the local Rehabilitation Services field office closest to your school district, or designated high school personnel, such as their guidance counselor or special education teacher. If you don't know where the closest field office is located, we have provided a link on the SDM page of our website at the end of this presentation where you can get more information. The Department of Developmental Services, or DDS, offers long-term support to individuals with intellectual disabilities, including job coaching for supported employment opportunities. Supports are either available long-term or can be faded out once an individual learns the job tasks. When connecting and interacting with DDS, individuals will work with a case manager and a provider agency. Students can apply for these DDS services by filling out an application form from the DDS website, which we will also provide a link to on our website. People of all ages can apply, but the application requires, among other things, documentation that the person's intellectual disability existed before the age of 18. Employment support services are also available through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, or DMHAS, or the Department of Social Services, or DSS, for individuals with other types of disabilities, such as serious mental health diagnoses, brain injury, and autism, when the individual does not also have an intellectual disability. For people with brain injuries or autism, these services, like some DDS services, are available under programs often referred to as waivers, which are funded by Medicaid and have specific eligibility requirements. We encourage students seeking employment to apply for all the waivers that they may be eligible for. However, you should keep in mind that some waivers, including the autism waiver, currently have lengthy waiting lists for services. In considering employment options, it is important to note that students can be eligible for services funded by more than one of these state agencies. For example, a student who is enrolled in the Level Up program with BRS can still apply and be eligible for assistance from DDS too. This is an important point for supporters to know as they help students use supported decision-making to learn about all their options and navigate these various agencies and service systems. There are many other resources and supporters, including friends, family, and other community members. Connecting with all these people helps a student make better and well-informed decisions. Knowing and understanding the options available is central to being able to make an informed choice. Keep in mind that there are many employment options for people with disabilities beyond ones in retail, food service, and janitorial services. Some students will continue with their education after high school by enrolling in a transition program. These programs can help individuals to continue to develop the skills they will need to succeed in their field of interest and further down the road. Transition programs can be customized to meet the student's needs and include job-specific training in a variety of different subject areas, such as accounting or customer service interactions. A student, their family, and supporters should play a key role in determining the components of the transition program to be sure it is individualized to the student's needs. This is an ideal time for students to use supporters to help them make decisions as they continue to chart their path toward employment. Their interests, skills, and strengths should all contribute to the components of their transition program. In addition to helping develop skills, including employment skills, a transition program can be a key part of exploring various employment options. Exploring employment should include actual work experiences, but also activities such as shadowing and observing people in jobs of interest, visits to work sites, interviews and discussions with people in various jobs, as well as peer-to-peer interactions. Students should be involved with and at the center of the discussions on what their career exploration looks like. Some students are interested in pursuing a career that requires further education, such as that provided at a college, training institute, or vocational schools. There are many careers and job opportunities that are more available for those with additional education or training. These options can and should be part of a student's transition program and plan. This can be combined with or in place of some of the employment preparation transition services already mentioned. Many transition programs have connections with local community businesses to offer employment experiences at various sites. It is important not only to explore and experience the different options available, but to discuss how the student's interests and skills can lead to other community-based opportunities. Now you will hear from Dylan, who describes where he worked during his transition program.
And a job coach would come with me and the other students to work and stuff. Some places that I've worked while I was in the transition academy was CVS, Denny's, Chick-fil-A, Sunny Farms, the Cora J. Belden Library in Rocky Hill.
The firsthand experiences that Dylan described can help students get a sense of what kind of work they enjoy, create connections with potential employers, and learn new skills. Using the connections a student may have with family, friends, classmates, and other members of the community can also lead to exploring additional areas of interest and strength. A student's supporters can be very helpful and central to this process. With the goal in mind of community-based, integrated employment, all students and their supporters can work toward a future that is not segregated or isolated from the larger community. As we already mentioned, a student's supporters can play key roles in the journey to employment, from the development of the transition program to exploring jobs in the community. The components of SDM and informed choice that we have discussed will help ensure students have the information and support they need while keeping them at the center of decision-making. Of course, transition program staff also play essential roles in supporting students in their pre-employment training and development and career exploration. From teachers to administrators to support staff, each has a role and contributes to giving the student the support and information they need to make decisions about employment. The agencies that we have discussed in this video can also play a role in the employment search process for students in transition programs. Deciding whether and how to engage with these state agencies is a decision that can require support. When working with these agencies, students can let them know they have supporters who will help them make decisions about their employment options, which will benefit the students as well as the agency staff. In this next clip, Nick's mom, Anita, explains the importance of building a large network of supporters who can help students navigate the transition from school to work. As she explains, relying on a village of supporters rather than a single professional or agency can be the key to helping students achieve their professional goals. Let's listen in.
It's a journey that no one's ever prepared to take. And it does take a village. It's not just one person to support your adult child on this journey, but it takes a bunch of people, and both on the employer side, fellow employees. And again, I found a lot of, it's not something that was ever taught to us. So I'm learning as I go, but we have to keep positive. You know, I thought, for some reason, and maybe some other folks feel this way, that, you know, BRS or DDS, they're going to fix it all for us because, you know, our children or our adult children are eligible for certain things. But it's a group effort. And I found in our particular case, working with my son and his family, he's got a lot of support from the family, and just to keep trying, you know.
Using all the connections a student may have with other members of the local community is helpful in many ways. First, it continues to build the village of support around the student. It also provides connections to potential jobs, job shadowing opportunities, or observations. And it provides the student with additional perspectives to consider as they navigate their path toward employment. For these reasons and more, using supported decision-making and having a variety of supporters can benefit students as they work through this time of transition toward employment. Before thinking about the more formal supports and services available, it can be very helpful to use connections through friends, family, and the community to find employment opportunities. We have discussed the benefits of this approach throughout this video and consider it an essential part of a person's path toward employment. Using supported decision-making keeps an individual at the center of all decisions and ensures they have the support they need to forge their path toward integrated employment in the community. Personal connections in the community can be a powerful way to support this goal. These types of connections can be a great way for students to learn about job opportunities that they may not have heard about otherwise. Now you will hear from Dylan, who describes how he learned about a job opportunity through a personal connection.
So when we left the transition academy, the first job was Sunny Farms, and how I got that job was the former mayor Henry Vassell knew me and stuff, and asked my mom would I like to work there, and filled out job application, and then returned it like on the day or the next day, and then probably a few weeks later I got hired.
Those seeking services through an agency, such as BRS, DDS, or DMHAS, DEMAS, can also use their supporters to help them make decisions about their employment goals, the services they need, accommodations they require, and so on. Keeping the counselors at these agencies on the same page as the individual and their supporters will require joint communication and participation in meetings. Working together, the student and their support team can help ensure their interests, skills, and strength are what guide their employment decisions. Similarly, students can work with their supporters to navigate the process of getting employment services from DDS. And individual supporters can assist with the many decisions that need to be made, like choosing a provider agency, exploring employment options, and determining what supports or accommodations they might need along the way. It is critical to keep the individual at the center of all these decisions, and that is what SDM is all about. It is also important to remember that life changes, circumstances change, preferences, interests, and abilities change. As any of these changes occur, individuals can use the supports they have developed to make employment decisions and avoid getting stuck somewhere. People's supporters can help them revisit their employment situation on an ongoing basis to choose a new path or direction. We want to close this video by reiterating a few tips on using SDM to ensure students make well-informed choices and understand their options. Open and regular communication between the student or individual and their family, friends, and other supporters is essential to SDM. Working closely with multiple supporters will help someone consider and make decisions that they are happy with. Multiple supporters provide different and unique perspectives, different areas of strength and expertise, and different lived experiences that all help support and inform the decisions a student will make. Building this community of people that support an individual will protect them and keep them safe. Hence the saying, people keep people safe. Since the term supported decision-making is a relatively new one in Connecticut, it is important to communicate with teachers and others about how the student uses SDM and that it is their right to do so. Be sure everyone involved in helping the student is aware that they are using a team of supporters to help them make their own decisions. Since July 2023, SDM is recognized as a decision-making option by Connecticut state law. It is an option available to anyone with a disability. In addition, the federal government has recognized that SDM can be an accommodation for a person's disability. When working with agencies, employers, and others, an individual with a disability can request SDM as a reasonable accommodation or modification. You can learn more about this process in our next module. Informed choice and decision-making should be seen as an ongoing process. Throughout a person's employment journey and life, things change and new barriers arise. Preferences, interests, skills, and abilities all change over time. This makes it important to periodically and regularly revisit decisions that have been made to give the opportunity to do something different. There are many challenges people face in life, and making decisions can be one of them. Decision-making isn't always easy, and using SDM can help someone through these challenges while keeping them at the center of their own decisions. We hope you find the information we have provided useful in navigating the journey to employment from high school and through transition. This employment journey will continue once someone exits the educational system. The next video will focus on how SDM can be used for people in adult day programs, non-competitive work environments, or other non-community-based programs when they're interested in exploring community-based employment. You can find helpful resources and links to learn more about supported decision-making on our website at disrightsct.org/SDM. That's DISRIGHTSCT.org/SDM. Or on the Connecticut Supported Decision-Making Coalition's webpage at ctsilc.org/supported-decision-making. This presentation was developed in collaboration with the Center for Public Representation. For more information, visit supporteddecisions.org or centerforpublicrep.org. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Social Security funded the creation of this presentation under a grant. Although Social Security reviewed this presentation for accuracy, it does not constitute an official Social Security communication. This communication is printed, published, or produced and disseminated at U.S. taxpayer expense. Again, thank you for joining us.